Welcome back to another transformative episode of Journey to Success. I'm Emily Carter, your host, and today we're exploring a skill that can open countless doors in life: confidence in communication. Our guest is someone who's mastered this art and helped others do the same: James Bennett, a communication coach, best-selling author, and sought-after speaker who's empowered thousands to find their voice. James, it's an absolute honor to have you with us today.
Thank you, Emily. I'm thrilled to be here and dive into a topic that's not just close to my heart, but foundational to success in every arena of life.
I'm so excited to hear your insights. Communication is something we all do every day, but doing it with confidence can be a game changer. James, let's start with the big picture. Why is confidence in communication so essential, and what impact can it have?
That's a fantastic question, Emily, and it really sets the stage for why this skill matters so much. Confidence in communication is like a key that unlocks your ability to connect, inspire, and influence others. It's not just about speaking clearly. It's about expressing your ideas with authenticity and conviction, whether you're in a boardroom, at a family gathering, or on a first date. When you communicate confidently, you build trust, foster relationships, and create opportunities that might otherwise pass you by. I think of someone like Martin Luther King Jr., whose powerful oratory during the civil rights movement didn't just convey ideas, it moved millions to action. His confidence wasn't about being loud or forceful. It was about speaking from a place of deep belief. That's what made his words resonate. Early in my own journey, I was a shy marketing analyst in Seattle, barely able to speak up in meetings. I felt my ideas were trapped inside me. But when I started working on my communication skills, everything changed. My career took off, and I found my purpose in helping others do the same. Confidence in communication isn't just a skill. It's a superpower that amplifies who you are.
That's such a compelling way to frame it. James, communication as a superpower. You mentioned starting out shy. Can you walk us through how someone can begin building confidence in communication, especially if they're nervous or introverted?
Absolutely, Emily. The first step is to reframe communication as a learnable skill, not an innate talent. Many people think you're either born charismatic or you're not, but that's a myth. Confidence comes from practice and mindset shifts. One foundational technique is to start small. You don't need to deliver a TED Talk tomorrow. Begin by speaking up in low-stakes settings, like sharing an opinion with a friend or asking a question in a group. I draw inspiration from Oprah Winfrey, who wasn't always the poised communicator we know today. Growing up in poverty, she faced immense challenges, including stage fright early in her career. But Oprah practiced relentlessly, starting with small radio gigs, honing her ability to connect authentically. By the time she launched The Oprah Winfrey Show, her confidence was magnetic. That's the model I followed when I began. I was terrified of speaking in meetings, so I set a goal to contribute one idea per session, no matter how small. My first attempt was shaky. I mumbled something about a campaign strategy, but my boss nodded, and that tiny win gave me courage to keep going. Another key is to focus on your audience, not yourself. When you're worried about how you sound, you get stuck in your head. Instead, think, how can I help or inspire the person listening? I coached a client named Sarah, a software engineer who dreaded presenting to her team. She was so self-conscious she'd rush through her slides. We worked on shifting her focus to her audience's needs, explaining complex ideas clearly to help them succeed. Sarah started practicing with a mirror, imagining her team's faces, and within months, she was leading presentations with ease. It's about making communication a gift you give, not a performance you're judged on.
I love that mindset. Communication as a gift. Oprah's journey is such a powerful example, too. James, what about those moments when nerves take over, like before a big presentation or tough conversation? How do you stay confident under pressure?
Oh, Emily, we've all been there. Heart pounding, palms sweaty, mind racing. Nerves are normal, but they don't have to derail you. One of the most effective tools is preparation. Confidence flows from knowing you're ready. I learned this from Steve Jobs, whose iconic Apple keynotes looked effortless but were the result of weeks of rehearsal. Jobs would practice every gesture, every pause, ensuring he could focus on connecting with his audience. I adopted a similar approach before my first major speaking gig at a leadership conference. I rehearsed my talk 50 times, literally, until I could deliver it in my sleep. When I stepped on stage, my nerves faded because I trusted my preparation. Another technique is power posing, inspired by social psychologist Amy Cuddy. Amy's research shows that standing in a confident posture, like hands on hips, shoulders back, for 2 minutes can boost your confidence hormones. I used this before a keynote in New York. I stood backstage, striking a Superman pose, and it shifted my energy from anxious to empowered. The talk was a hit, with attendees raving about my presence. For immediate calm, try box breathing. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. I taught this to a client named Michael, a financial advisor who froze during client pitches. He'd get so nervous he'd forget his points. We practiced box breathing before meetings, and he visualized himself as confident, like Warren Buffett calmly explaining investments. Within weeks, Michael closed deals with major clients, crediting that simple technique for grounding him. The key is to have tools in your arsenal: preparation, posture, breathing, that let you channel nerves into excitement.
Those are such practical strategies, James. I'm definitely trying that power pose before my next big moment. You've mentioned icons like Steve Jobs and Amy Cuddy. Are there other famous figures whose communication confidence inspires you?
Oh, absolutely, Emily. History is rich with communicators who turned confidence into impact. Take Michelle Obama, for example. As First Lady, she faced intense scrutiny, yet her speeches, like her 2016 Democratic National Convention address, radiated warmth and conviction. Michelle has shared how she battled imposter syndrome, worrying she wasn't enough. But she leaned into authenticity, speaking from her heart, and it made her a global role model. Her confidence came from owning her story, flaws and all. Another is Winston Churchill, whose wartime speeches rallied Britain through its darkest hours. Churchill wasn't a natural orator. He struggled with a lisp and stage fright, but he practiced obsessively, crafting every word to inspire. His famous "We shall fight on the beaches" speech wasn't just rhetoric. It was a masterclass in confident delivery under pressure. These figures show that confidence isn't about perfection. It's about preparation and purpose. On a personal note, I coached a young lawyer named Emily, yes, same name as you, who feared courtroom arguments. She felt her voice shook compared to seasoned attorneys. We studied Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who spoke softly but with unshakable clarity, winning landmark cases through precision. Emily practiced Ginsburg's deliberate pacing, and soon she was commanding courtrooms, even winning a high-profile case. Stories like these remind us that confidence is built, not born, and anyone can cultivate it.
Those examples are so inspiring, James. Michelle Obama, Churchill, Ginsburg, they all show confidence in such unique ways. What about confidence in everyday conversations, like networking or tough discussions? How can we shine there?
Everyday communication is where confidence really transforms lives, Emily, because it's the fabric of our relationships and opportunities. One key is active listening. Confidence isn't just about speaking, it's about making others feel heard. When you listen intently, ask thoughtful questions, and respond with empathy, you create a connection that makes you stand out. I learned this from Dale Carnegie, whose book How to Win Friends and Influence People emphasizes listening as a cornerstone of influence. Carnegie's advice shaped how I network. I focus on understanding the other person, not impressing them. For networking, try the elevator pitch approach, inspired by Shark Tank's Barbara Corcoran. Barbara built her real estate empire by mastering concise, confident introductions. I worked with a client named Lauren, a graphic designer who froze at networking events, feeling her work wasn't big enough. We crafted a 30-second pitch highlighting her unique style, and she practiced it until it felt natural. At her next event, she landed a contract with a major brand, all because she communicated her value confidently. For tough conversations, like asking for a raise or resolving conflict, frame your intent positively. I coached a manager named David who dreaded giving feedback to his team, fearing he'd seem harsh. We looked at how Satya Nadella, Microsoft CEO, communicates with empathy, focusing on growth rather than criticism. David adopted this, framing feedback as, "Here's how we can excel together." His team's morale soared, and he was promoted. Confidence in these moments comes from clarity and compassion, ensuring your message lands with impact.
That's such a fresh take. Confidence through listening and empathy. I'm sure our listeners are rethinking their approach to conversations. James, how do we maintain and grow communication confidence over time, especially when self-doubt creeps in?
Sustaining confidence is like tending a garden. It needs consistent care to thrive. One powerful habit is daily practice. Commit to one communication act each day, maybe a phone call, a team update, or even a kind word to a stranger. Small wins compound. I got this from Maya Angelou, whose poetic voice captivated the world. Angelou practiced her craft daily, refining her words even in casual talks. I emulate this by recording my speeches, reviewing them for improvement. It's kept my confidence sharp over decades. Another strategy is to seek feedback. Confidence grows when you know what works and what doesn't. I coached a teacher named Anna who felt her lectures lacked impact. She feared asking for input, thinking it'd expose weakness. We looked at how J.K. Rowling welcomed editors' critiques to perfect Harry Potter. Anna started surveying her students, tweaking her style based on their feedback. Her classes became so popular, she won a teaching award. Feedback isn't judgment, it's growth fuel. Also, visualize success. Athletes like Serena Williams use visualization to boost performance. Serena pictures winning shots before matches, building mental confidence. I taught this to a client named Chris, a salesman who stumbled in client calls. He visualized nailing his pitch, and it transformed his delivery. He doubled his sales in 6 months. Finally, surround yourself with positive influences, books, mentors, or podcasts like Journey to Success. They remind you that confidence is a journey, and setbacks are just detours.
Those are such actionable tips, James. Daily practice, feedback, visualization. It's a roadmap anyone can follow. As we wrap up, what's one final piece of advice for listeners eager to boost their communication confidence today?
My biggest advice is to start where you are. You don't need to be perfect, just willing. Think of Elon Musk, who's not a polished speaker but communicates with raw passion, captivating the world with ideas like SpaceX. His confidence comes from believing in his message. For me, it started with that first shaky meeting comment, which led to stages I never dreamed of. One last story. I worked with a single dad named Mark, who felt invisible at his corporate job, too nervous to share ideas. He worried his voice didn't matter. We studied how Nelson Mandela used quiet conviction to inspire change, even after years in prison. Mark began speaking up in small ways, emailing suggestions, joining discussions. Within a year, he was leading projects and mentoring others. If Mark can find his voice, so can you. Take one step today, say something bold, authentic you. The world is waiting to hear it.
What a beautiful note to end on, James. Mark's story, alongside legends like Mandela and Musk, shows that confidence is within everyone's reach. Thank you for sharing such wisdom and practical tools. I know our listeners are fired up to communicate boldly.
Thank you, Emily, and to all the listeners. I hope you feel empowered to let your voice shine.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of Journey to Success. If this conversation sparked something in you, and I'm sure it did, please hit that subscribe button to catch every episode. Share this with someone who needs a confidence boost, and join us next time for more insights to fuel your journey. Until then, keep speaking your truth with courage.